Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast!
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Silver Sunday, hosted by Roland Mann.
That was great. Thank you, Tim. And it's so funny because I know I told you guys this, but Brett and I have been working on the podcast, and so the very first ones, when you first started doing that, I'm hearing those again. I'm like, I haven't heard those in a while because you've been on the Wednesdays. So,
Yeah.
So thank you. So if you've noticed, we do have a new face with us this week. Not a new face, but an unusual face. Not usual. And you're clean shaven, Tim.
I am, yeah.
Did you have to go back into the office or something?
No, actually, we don't have any sort of grooming standards when it comes to facial hair, which is great. But it's just felt like a change.
Cool. It looks good. It makes you look younger. Sorry about that. Someone just sent me a Discord message, and I'm like, wait. So when I clicked to respond, everybody went away. I now see Tim's. I guess whoever the noise is.
Yes.
So anyway, Tim's filling in for my son Brett, who is scrimming tonight as they get ready to start PCS 4, I think it is, maybe 5, I can't remember, this coming week. So he had some drama happen to his team last week, and so he's on a new team, and it was really fast, and they're getting ready for PCS 4. So for those of you who aren't familiar, that's a great big PUBG tournament, and so we're kind of excited that he's got to that. So thank you, Tim, for stepping in and producing for Brett. Let me see if I can't get back to my regular screen here. What did I do? Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is Silver Sunday. Welcome to our Silver Sunday stream. I am the host. I'm Roland. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer, and I write a couple of comics. I write that one right there. That's Cat and Mouse, and I write that one right there. That's Trumps. And a couple of other things in production that hopefully we'll get to see real soon. Next up would be Barb. Barb, tell folks who you are.
I'm Barb Kjellberg, and I am the creator, co-writer, inker, and colorist for Divinity, which will be kickstarting this issue number 2 in May. I'm the inker on the original run of Cat and Mouse for Silverline here, and I'm the colorist on Sirens, and I am the CFO of Silverline, so I'm always pestering Roland and BJ for information and invoices.
I get emails that's like, hey, on this date there was this amount, what is this? And I'm like, I don't know. Can't you make something up?
You better find out.
That's exactly what she says. Well, go look. Send me this. Send me that. Send me this. So I think I've kind of got some of the invoices down. So I've got them and started forwarding them to you this week. So, and I think we're going to get us another guest. Hey, there she is. What's up, Haley? Hey, Haley, since you just jumped in, I'm going to go ahead and let you go next. Haley's usually with the Wednesday Whammers, but I was swapping messages with her, and I said, "Hey, why don't you join us?"
Why not? All right. Yeah. So I'm
Tell everybody.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, tell everybody who you are.
Okay, so I'm Haley Martin. I am the artist for the upcoming Silverline comic Bear, or Bear, for one wants to say it the correct way. Yeah, so I'm working on that.
Bear.
I also,
Bear, I'm going to get that bear.
yes.
So bear, shoot me a bear.
Yeah, so I do that,
Yeah.
and I also write and draw my own webcomic called Heroic Shenanigans, and yep, that's what I do.
Cool. And it was very Haley and I swapped some emails. I can't remember if it was last week or this week. And I did not realize how close to completion the first issue actually is. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, it's almost done.
So,
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. So, well, we're glad you're joining us, Haley. Aaron, tell folks who you are.
I am the penciler on Fire Rush, which I think did Fire Rush launch. I think we launched April, second issue. And I'm also penciler on a comic called Obsolete, which is coming out. And I'm actually penciling page 5 right now. I should finish that up tonight.
Wow, you're jamming.
So, yeah, I'm having fun. I get to draw sci-fi and aliens and robots. So
nice.
It's definitely up my alley. It's a change for what I've been doing fantasy, so I get to do sci-fi. So yeah. Oh, I read your Heroic Shenanigans, Haley. That was pretty cool. So I'm up to date. When do you drop updates?
I've been doing them on Wednesdays and Saturdays now. Hopefully for a while I'll be able to do twice.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check back in. Yeah, I liked it. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Thank you for seeing your comment. Thanks. Hope you like it.
All right, next up is Curtis. Curtis, tell people who you are.
Sure, I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline. I also teach Kung Fu, and I'm combining the two things into my next project for Silverline, which is called Shadow Ghost, the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. And that's me.
Yeah, I talked about you and your comic a little bit this morning.
Nice.
The guys over at Sunday Funnies convinced me. They sent me messages last night, and they convinced me to get up early this morning and join them for their stream Sunday Funnies this morning. And somehow they got to talking about Kung Fu, and so I was able to
cool.
toss in a little, hey, we got a comic coming up, and they're like, oh, that's really cool.
Nice, thank you. Thanks for the shout out.
Absolutely. And next up is Roberta, sporting a very sweet shirt tonight.
Yeah. What's up, Silverline people? So I'm coloring for Silverline for the next Cat and Mouse and the new title Silverline Team Up Champion and Miss Fury. And those are both in production right now. Exciting.
Yes, they are. As well as the remix book,
Pendulum.
Pendulum. Yeah. I saw the cover. I'm like, Pendulum. That's right. And last but not least, sporting his throwback 1970s Kiss concert shirt. I don't think that's a concert shirt. I just think that's a shirt, right?
Yeah, it's just a plain destroyer shirt.
Oh, but it's got 77 on it. So. Yeah. Yes, Wubba. Wubba, tell everybody who you are.
I am the penciler on Cat and Mouse. I would say like the upcoming mini, but
yeah. So
that's my penciling tonight.
Nice. So the upcoming mini, as well as the final issue of the current mini. So yeah, staying busy. So Kickstarter news, since Aaron mentioned Fire Rush, I anticipate getting a message from our good friends at Kablam telling us that I can come get the books tomorrow. Probably won't get them tomorrow because I don't think I'll be able to. But I'm anticipating a message from them. So even if I don't get it tomorrow, I should have it pretty early this week. And then we'll start fulfillment immediately. So hopefully the first books will go out the end of the week, or I shouldn't say hopefully. They absolutely should go out the first of this. The middle to the latter part of the week. Thought they would be going out now, but we're just a few days behind. Mostly because I forgot to send them something, which I won't confess that I did on the air. But I did forget to send them something, and but I should have books within the next couple of days, and we'll start fulfillment. And then, yes, as Barb has already mentioned, we've got the next one already geared up and ready to go. So that is our Kickstarter news. Any other news? Anybody else have any other news?
Did you forget Tim?
It kind of, well, okay, Tim, tell everybody who we kind of did it in early, but it wasn't
the full credits.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tim TK. I'm the associate editor at Silverline. So that means I help with the blog and the craft series, where we have Silverline creators talk about the craft of making comics. And I'm also the writer/creator on Wolf Hunter, which is a World War II espionage spy action thriller type deal.
And it's also very, very close to completion. Which
yes,
he neglected to say.
I have wrapped. We have essentially all edits on panels for issue 2 done, which are now with the penciler, and I just finished all edits for dialogue, which will be to you tonight, along with the second draft of issue 3. So
sweet, jamming. And yeah, so don't let Tim kid you. He said he helps with the blog. He pretty much does it all. There are things I'm like, hey Tim, let's do this or let's do that. But yeah, Tim pretty much runs the whole thing. I don't think. When's the last time I even wrote one of the news? It's been 2 months since I wrote one of the news things, which I got to do this month, not this week, but next week. So I gotta get another one done. So, but yeah, Tim pretty much does that whole thing. So. Thank you, Barb, for keeping me in line. See, that's what Barb does. She says, "Did you forget Tim?" No, I did forget him.
How can you forget Tim?
Every time Tim says something, we should all just keep talking like he does. Who? Tim? Who? I don't. Do you hear that?
You mean like you usually do for Curtis?
Yeah, usually I just and me and Curtis have that psychic link where he starts to speak.
This.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like we complete each other's. Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
It's funny, I went on that Wednesday wham, and you called me the interrupter, and you said you didn't interrupt anyone. I'm like, because Curtis wasn't on.
True.
I was off sync. I was not lining up perfectly.
So now, Haley, you've met everybody here before, right? I mean, you've kind of been in a.
Yeah, I think I've met her on Wednesday.
Yeah. The only ones I wasn't sure about were like Wubba and Roberta. So.
Yeah, I think so.
I met you
Okay.
now, Kaylee.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't really have any news other than that either. So our topic this week is sidekicks. What's the first thing you think of when you hear sidekicks? Anybody?
Robin.
I think that's the original sidekick. I mean, how can you not?
Is he the original sidekick though?
I don't think he was
really?
the original.
Yeah.
Maybe he was original to me because he was like the first.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Wasn't Bucky the original sidekick?
No.
Was he?
The Black Tear had a sidekick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of those public domain characters, they all had sidekicks. It was
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
same.
And
You know, a lot of the
sidekicks
are introduced to get kids into reading comics. Wasn't that their main primary goal? Yeah, I think so.
Not into reading it, into having characters that they could associate with.
Right.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Robin and Bucky both, especially Bucky, they're like, what, 12, 13 years old? Bucky's in a war zone.
Yeah. Exactly. Conscription laws were very loose in New York in 1930.
Robin's a kid, he's dragging around at 2 o'clock in the morning with Batman. I mean,
They were free-range children.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, every time Robin, when he's supposed to be that kid, like, punch or kick somebody, I'm like, is he really doing that much damage? I mean, I've had a 12-year-old punch me, and even if they're trained, I mean, it's not like I'm down for the count. I mean, I'm sorry.
But I guess
I mean, you got like,
It's not like he's dead.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the quality training. Like if it's just some kid throwing like a haymaker, it's not gonna do much. But if they do like sport karate or they've taken like actual like boxing lessons, which I mean Bruce Wayne was Golden Gloves of Gotham, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that, Sifu?
No, I mean, I you know what I think of is when I think about that stuff is I think about knights and squires. Like I almost think of it as that kind of an analog to that, like apprenticeship, right?
Yeah.
So I almost see it harkening back to that, and in that sense, I could see the kid being in that kind of scenario.
Yeah.
But
and we kind of talked about
12-year-old could take. You think a 12-year-old could take down a Nazi?
I mean, the thing that I would say is in any scenario, anybody's dangerous anytime, under any circumstance. And if not to get too dark, but you go into like, really war zones in third world countries and stuff like that. Those are some scary kids out there, you know, so it all depends. Now,
and it also
Dick Grayson, not so much,
Yeah, maybe not. But also a lot of standing armies, they're actual like fisticuffs, like hand combatants. It's pretty lacking. The United States is actually unique in that Marines have their own combination mixed martial art, but most other standing armies, they're like, just shoot the guy.
Right.
You have a gun, use it.
Yeah, standing armies. Of course, special forces are completely different scenario, but yeah.
But we were kind of talking on Wednesday WAM also, sort of the first, to your point, Curtis, the first sidekicks you really see as a literary tool was like Lancelot in Arthurian legend, or Sancho Panza for Don Quixote, the squires to knights, and perhaps a bit more well-rounded than earlier sidekicks in comics, but depending on quality of writer, you do also see those archetypes used in comics as well.
Right.
Sure, and I'm a big fan of like pulp novels and old time radio, and so I also think of like Tonto and the Lone Ranger, Kato and the Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Like I think of those as very very competent versions of sidekicks. In that case.
Oh yeah, I liked Kato way more than I ever liked Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I watched for him.
Yeah. That's also fun if you're a really strong writer and even artist making your sidekick very interesting. They have the benefit of not needing to be 100% on the plot point all the time, so they can have their one-liners or the witticisms that you're like, oh, actually, I like him as a person way more.
Well, if we're going to go way back, Dr. Watson was Sherlock Holmes's sidekick.
Good point.
Yeah. Also, just a very equal sidekick too. It wasn't necessarily that he existed there just to help Sherlock. It's that Sherlock is very good at the bidding the pieces together, but Watson was just as smart in terms of social circles and actual negotiations of dealing with the various nobility that Sherlock needed to look into.
Right. Yes, his social abilities were very much lacking. Yeah. That's where.
So what? Because I guess this is a question I'll ask. So what makes the difference between a partnership and a sidekick? When does the sidekick grow to be a partner?
Yeah, that's something about Alfred. Alfred's like the big question, right? What's Alfred? Is he a mentor, is he a sidekick, partner?
Whichever one is advancing the plot at the moment is the lead, and it's like
Like Sherlock Holmes is actually the brain. The other one is just helping. Well, because that would have to do maybe more with power structure. Who's partner and who's a sidekick? I guess.
Depends on which iteration of Sherlock you're watching. Is he the stupid, oh gee whiz Watson, or is he the very competent, puggliest Watson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Alfred though. That is he actually a sidekick or is he a mentor? That's a good question.
Yeah. My thoughts would be more that he's a mentor, because he doesn't really accompany Batman, right? He advises Batman, but he doesn't really go with Batman on his missions, and it doesn't help him in the sense of he doesn't go out there. Now I do remember in one cartoon watching that Batman was actually flying the bat plane and picked him up one time.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was on, but.
It was I'd almost say like he's kind of like the wise man, kind of like the sage sort of character.
So we're talking like Spock would not be Kirk's sidekick then. He would be the wise man
I would think he
sage.
would be a partner because he's an equal member of the
Partner.
crew.
I guess it also depends
Yeah.
on the timeline, because the alternate timeline Star Trek in the new movies, Spock goes on just as many ground missions as Kirk does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also say there's kind of a difference between a sidekick and an ensemble cast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
that's what I want. Go ahead.
I was saying, we also talked about this a little bit, is if you get an ensemble, but you decide you can essentially sidekick all of them if you make it an ideological based ensemble. We talk about Hickman's current X-Men, where they have one ideology, which is encompassed by three main characters who they kind of pass lead back and forth, but everyone else then assists one of those characters throughout each arc. So Xavier's always the lead, and then you actually end up seeing Cyclops, Wolverine, all these other people serving as a sidekick to Xavier, progressing, the three things that get done in each story. That's what I think about it, is your main character is going to be the one that has the inciting incident, the turn, and the climax. They're the ones that take the definitive action. Your sidekicks are there to help, and they can progress other points, but they're not the ones progressing those three main points.
It was funny. My friend.
What has been trying to say like three times?
Sorry.
So we're talking about Elfridge. So what would Frenchie be for Moon Knight?
Good point.
It's been a while since I've read Moon Knight, but I'm going to say Frenchie kind of falls in the same category, doesn't he?
Well, it's like get to Mark Spector because
Frenchie does both. He has been in battles, but he's also a butler.
Yeah. I'd say, especially Mark Spector, where he's just going crazy. Like, Frenchie's just murking people, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's been way too long since I've read Moon Knight. But yeah, I guess if he accompanies him, then that's more sidekicky than butlery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's sidekicks too that have started as sidekicks and gone on to become their own heroes.
Yeah.
And my favorite, this is going to come as a huge shock to you guys because I spent so long on the book, but Bart Allen as Impulse. He started out as the Flash's sidekick, and then he graduated to his own book and became his own hero, and kind of eclipsed actually Flash there for a while. So that was a start. That was a typical sidekick that grew into his own, kind of like Nightwing.
Yeah, and
Roberta, I didn't think about this. Roberta, you want to share? Are you drawing?
No, I'm opening and closing a couple of them. I will though.
Okay.
Unless he wants to start out, and I can join up in a minute.
It's funny, and I'm going to ask this because maybe I don't know. My friend asked me today, did Wonder Woman ever have a sidekick? And I don't. Did she?
A flying horse?
She didn't have a flying horse. That wasn't She-Ra. Was that She-Ra? Maybe She-Ra had the flying horse. She had the visible plane. But strangely enough, do a lot of the female superheroes have sidekicks?
Girl, right? Is she her sidekick?
I could have swore that one.
That's what I was thinking. I thought maybe Wonder Girl, like you said, Haley. But I haven't read any Wonder Woman stories where she has been her sidekick. But that doesn't mean it hasn't been the case.
I thought that's how Wonder Girl got her start, was from the really early Wonder Woman, and then they stopped that, and then they brought her back for Teen Titans.
I could totally believe that. And that would make sense since Teen Titans was supposed to be all sidekicks, wasn't it? Wasn't that supposed to be kind of the gimmick in that? Yeah.
Sidekicks.
Yeah, maybe there was something. Yeah, I don't see a lot of female superheroes that have sidekicks. I'm trying to think of it, like.
So what did that
like,
say? Is
That's a really good question.
Is that like an automatic admission that women are stronger than men?
Maybe. I don't know.
We don't need any help.
That's pretty much true.
I don't know. I was just curious because Supergirl wasn't she supposed to be Superman's cousin? Wasn't that it? Like when she, but she never sidekicked for him. Superboy didn't sidekick. Well, no, wait, did he sidekick for Superman? Superman even need a sidekick? I think two of them would be like overkill. It's so powerful.
I mean, Superman's got Crypto for crying out loud, which has the same powers.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I did a quick Google search to see if I could find any.
Did Daredevil ever have a sidekick? Matt Murdock, his friend Foggy,
Yeah.
that was more of his partner. That was his law partner. But was he a sidekick
I'd
ever?
call him a sidekick sometimes.
Would you? Okay.
Because he
To
goes
me,
in.
Foggy was like the comedic relief.
Yeah, that's what I kind of saw that.
Tim, can you see that? Okay, yeah,
Yes.
he's got it.
Okay, so I have another question then, and maybe Barbara can answer. Did Iron Man turn Spider-Man into a sidekick in the Marvel movies?
Yes.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
A little bit. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
iconically,
Okay,
Rhodey was.
I found
was-
one. Power
Iconically,
Girl. Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
all right. Iconically, it was James Rhodes as War Machine was his sidekick, but in the movies, it walked a real fine line between mentor, mentee, and sidekick. I think he was more a mentor.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Roland. Because I think you're right.
I'm gonna
No,
try.
I just Googled and found a sidekick page. So, Power Girl has a sidekick of Terra. Okay.
I think she was
Mary Marvel's sidekick from 1943 was Uncle Marvel. Wonder Woman had Cassandra Sensmark, who was known as Wonder Girl too.
Yeah, she was. I think John Byrne introduced her in his run. I think that was one of Byrne's characters.
It says 96, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just the DC characters. So so I'm just kind of. There's a whole thing here on the sidekicks. So, and then a lot. What are these? Is this Golden Age independent and non-US titles? I don't recognize half of these names here. Jomkey, Lembic, Davy Jones. What Davy Jones? One of the monkeys.
Yeah.
Duck Girl. Duck Girl had a sidekick of Finch. I don't know.
Did you say Duck Girl?
Duck, quack, quack. Duck Girl. Yeah.
Well, strange enough, Roland, you don't consider a cat and mouse sidekick and partner. You consider them equal partners.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
They're partners.
That's the way it seemed like you wrote them. Of
Yeah.
course, I don't think they've actually teamed up in the new version yet. They're still getting together.
Well, and part of their conflict is, or at least in the first series, part of the conflict was he treated her like a sidekick, and she was like, "No, I'm not a sidekick," and those words were never exactly used, but he continued to treat her like a sidekick, but she was capable of doing, as she ended up proving, and we don't have that in that same scenario as of yet in this new story.
I think that's a very fun conflict you can do for any side of the heel face category, because on the heel side you have that conflict with the Mauler twins in Invincible, where one of them is always thinking they're the original, the other one's thinking they're the clone, or they're both trying to argue over who is the actual original one.
That was one of my favorite, because I think through the whole series, especially the comic series, that was like they never stopped arguing about that.
Well, they mentioned they had to do it like that, so one didn't wake up knowing they were a clone and have an existential crisis. But now, so they're both
So Stephen Brown says, when Supergirl was first made, Jimmy Olsen was on a totem for Superman to a companion, and then they retconned her as Superman's cousin later on. Okay.
So she was supposed to be like intimately involved with Superman or Jimmy Olsen? I mean, companion as far as like romantic companion, or companion is just like a partner?
I don't know the answer.
Okay, so the question must not answer. Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Jimmy's always been a sidekick figure for Superman, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Supergirl.
Yeah. But
So I guess all of this, the part of kind of what we're talking about. What is it? What is it that makes a sidekick? What is it? What's the difference between? And let's talk about. As Stephen Brown just said, it was a romantic companion.
Okay. Oh, it's supposed to be. Okay, it was.
Yeah. So what's the difference then? How do you determine then what's a sidekick and what's a mentor or a partner or just a colleague, right? Just someone else in the story, right? Because not everybody who participates can be, a sidekick just because they go along with them, right? So when you're looking at that, what makes a sidekick?
Short round to Indiana Jones.
And does strange enough, does the sidekick have to technically be younger than the main character?
I think inexperienced, and usually that falls under youth.
Yeah.
But I would say less experienced, definitely.
Yeah.
Is this kind of? I wonder if this goes back to the idea of sort of the Greek philosophers taking boys as like that sort of mentorship, not anything, but like the idea that they would take boys as sort of mentorship and teach them. I wonder if that's kind of initially where it started.
Well, that's where we got a lot of our ideas of classical storytelling is from Greek mythos. But I was also thinking that I don't necessarily think younger because Sancho Panza was older than Don Quixote, but he's still his squire. But I think it from like a purely plot standpoint, being a writer, big surprise. But the hero must be the one who always advances the three core parts of the plot.
Yeah.
And the psychic, if you're doing well, should be developed to have their own wants and motives, but they're the ones who serve in helping that hero achieve those plot points or in some way lead to the hero's advancement. And another way to think about it is he was younger, but Jason Todd letting Batman fail a plot point essentially, but advancing Batman's character by having him learn a moment of super crippling defeat that you failed so badly that the key to protecting is now dead.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know if you folks ever. There was a book by Howard Chaykin called "Power and Glory." It was actually by Melvin, and it was a really interesting book because it was actually about this guy who posed as a superhero who had no powers, I think he had powers, but he was a complete coward, and this undercover black ops guy that would actually do all the work for him. So it was like this kind of Cyrano de Bergerac kind of superhero story. And it was almost like the main character who was the superhero was almost the sidekick for this black ops guy that was in the background doing all the heavy lifting, So it was a neat play on that dynamic.
So one of the things that Tim mentioned about the hero being the one who has to answer the questions. There's a reason. That's the reason I hate one of these books so much. That I'm looking for it, and I can't remember the name of it. But it's a book that won all kind of children's book awards. It tends to be a favorite more of females and males. It's about a girl whose dad has gone missing, and it's magical, and she has to go looking for him and find him find out where he is. They did a movie of it not too long
Talking
ago.
about A Wrinkle in Time?
A Wrinkle in Time.
Favorite books.
That's the worst book ever. Because Meg is the main character, right? Meg is the main character. And literally what she does, we gotta go find my father. And the dude steps up, I think we should do this. Yeah, you're right, let's go do that, right? And then they go do it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Gosh, I hate that book.
That's the thing we got hammered into us like all throughout like BFAs and MFAs is let your protagonist protag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with The Wrinkle in Time is that Meg doesn't. She complains all the time and says she gives voice to the fact I need to go do this. I need to make this happen, right? Mm-hmm. And then I forget the dude's name, but the dude steps in and says, "Come on, this is what we need to do." She says, "Yes, let's go do that." And I'm like, "Wait, what? No, you go do it."
Haley seems like she has an opinion on that.
I love that book.
So why did you love the book?
I mean, it's just very different, like, because it's like sci-fi, but kind of like, it's like more conceptual. I don't know. It's just like weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get that, like, Meg is kind of like, I mean, she does start out as kind of like a brat, sort of, I guess, like kind of just troubled kid. So, yeah.
And I don't mind a troubled kid, learning something and growing. I mean, you want to see growth in that, but I just felt like it was her story, but the whole time and I forget the dude's name, but the whole time she was letting the dude make all the decisions. And I'm like, no. He's supposed to help you,
Yeah.
right?
That's kind of the counterpoint to that. It's a vast counterpoint for many reasons. It should not be enjoyed by the same audience. But the Venture Bros, I forgot the name of their bodyguard, but the Venture Bros are these teenage boys, and they have this 30-year-old bodyguard who is an internationally renowned assassin, Brock Sampson. So the Venture Bros do all the storytelling. They fumble their way across the plot points. It's kind of like messing their way up from beginning, middle to end, and they're pro-tagging in the worst way possible, but they are pro-tagging. Brock's just there to kill all the people that they leave behind. He's there to tidy up any loose ends. So something happens or whatever happens, they're in a meat locker. One of them accidentally gets himself stuck on a hook, gets pulled out. They go into a frying pan. One of them accidentally boils off their leg, and they fall to the next point. But meanwhile, they're being chased by these people, and Brock's just there stabbing them in the background. So he's sidekicking, and he's arguably the more experienced, actually intelligent person, but they're the ones who are progressing the plot.
It's just like a Big Trouble in Little China, like one of my favorite movies is like that. Like the main character, Jack Burden, is just a complete moron. And the guy who's supposed to be the sidekick, Wang Chi, is actually like the guy doing all the work and being successful. And it works so well.
But it's still the idiot who's the one who's doing all the plot points. He's still the one doing the right choices, the wrong choices that move it forward. Yeah. But it's the more experienced person who's doing the right stuff, but only to assist the person who's already screwed up.
Oh yeah, I still think my favorite line is when he's like, "What does that sign read?" It's something like, "This is the 7 depths of hell" or whatever. And he's like, "Really?" It's like, "No, it says keep out." Yeah.
What about some classic cartoon like Hong Kong Phooey? Anybody remember Hong Kong Phooey?
Oh yeah. Oh, did he have a sidekick?
Yeah.
The cat, right?
Yeah.
The cat was always with him. And Hong Kong Phooey was an idiot. He always did the karate stuff, but the cat is the one that always. Am I the only one to watch Hong Kong Phooey here?
No,
it's not ringing a bell for me.
Yeah. They did the same thing in Inspector Gadget with Penny and the dog. When the Penny and the dog were almost both sidekicks, Inspector Gadget, he would just fumble through it like Venture Brothers, but they would clean up behind him. What was the dog?
Yeah. And that was the thing with Hong Kong Phooey is that he was so funny. Of course, you had to love him because he was voiced by Scatman Crothers, And but what would happen is he would think that he did all the karate stuff, a little bit like the Pink Panther, Peter Sellers, the Pink Panther, right? He would think he did all the karate stuff, and yet it was the cat, his sidekick, that did it, right? And he would say, "Look at that, I'm the #1 super guy," right? And the cat's over there going, "Yeah, right, it was me."
Did you like what would you get? Okay, so Dynamite and the Falcon, was a Blue Falcon.
Blue Falcon, yeah.
Yeah, that was Dynamite was a comedic relief, and he was a sidekick, but he almost stole that show. You would almost say, even though Blue Falcon was supposed to be the protagonist, I would almost argue in that one, Dynamite was the main character because he was the comedic relief, and the show was based around his antics most of the time. Interesting. Almost like they made a comedic show out of the goofiness of a sidekick. And then, because the Blue Falcon would just kind of do stuff in the back, he was always serious. But that was the point. I mean, he was a straight man for Dynamite to play all his stuff on. I remember always liking that show as a kid.
Donkey and Shrek.
Yeah.
I love Donkey.
Definitely. He was so fun.
I think I like Donkey better than Shrek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more interesting.
That's the moment where it's that kind of first rule where the Shrek is the protagonist, so he's beholden to progress the plot. Donkey's there for a good time. He's a chaotic neutral sidekick who's there to have his witticisms and romance a dragon.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the cat that was done by Antonio Banderas ended up spinning off his own show.
Yeah, the Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots, yeah.
That was really good.
So, do you guys, when you create your own stuff, do you guys ever consider using sidekicks for your characters?
No.
No?
I haven't. No. It's not that I wouldn't, but it's just not something that's. No.
Do you think the idea is kind of outdated, almost like it's just funner to make them partners? Not outdated in a political way, but just outdated that it's fun to have, like, because I know you guys do Rook, Sniper and Rook. cat and mouse, and a lot of the characters that are duos in here are partners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Wolf Hunter, spoilers. I have sidekicks of opportunity.
Okay.
Where right place,
that.
right time, right skill set.
Did you make that up?
Yes, just now actually.
I like that. I like that.
But we talked about this on Wednesday Wham, but when you look at how every art form has evolved, comics are still one of the younger art forms, even though cave drawings are the oldest. But it always takes time to work out your legs. I mean, Golden Age cinema, it's classics, but also a lot of it's not great. So we're getting to a point now where a lot of writers are putting a lot more thought into sidekicks, and it doesn't necessarily lend itself to being the sounding board or the audience insert or the G. Willikers Batman. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Holy man-eating plants, Batman. But you do end up getting sidekicks, but they don't necessarily present in the same way because there's a lot more time and development to go into them, and so we got that. You really see that in the Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing arc or Jason Todd becoming Red Hood, where it's about a sidekick having their own story and maturing, and the natural part of a mentee-mentor relationship is the mentee then graduates and goes on to their own path. Or they end up being co-opted into the same ideology, and you might see that in both the development of an ensemble, where someone who's learning something then joins the ensemble, and that was kind of Jubilee under Wolverine, almost to a point where Wolverine mentored her a lot, and then she's like, "All right, I bought in," and now she's full-fledged vampire mom X-Man.
That's right. I thought, is she still a vampire? I don't know. They did so many weird things with that character.
I can't remember if after the big hook in Hickman's X-Men with the fact that the No More Mutants thing, if she got brought back in her original body, because now they can do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was one of the good things that you point out, Tim, about Batman is they understood that they couldn't keep Dick Grayson in that role and that dynamic forever. You know, they needed somebody, and so that's why the other characters came in and served that purpose. But I think that's what kept it fresh is you got to see those characters grow and move forward. And I think it gets really stale. The whole sidekick can get really stale.
Yeah,
especially the young sidekick if they stay in there too long. So I definitely think that was a really good job they did there.
Yeah.
But now they have how many Robins? 4 or 5? I mean, how many is it now? I think it's 4?
3 main timeline, and then like 8, including all the others.
Wow.
Yeah,
but I like the fact that it's his son that's a sidekick now, right?
Damien, yeah.
Here's a really good conundrum. Shazam.
That is a hard one because they're all supposed to be family members, aren't they?
Well, is Billy Batson the sidekick to Shazam?
Yeah, because Shazam is technically still the wizard that he can visit in his weird mind palace, but
yeah, that's a good point.
That's fun. I mean, also, I guess then you can also let that same vein, Dr. Fate, who is the vassal for powers, but not necessarily the holder of them himself.
So you have sidekick and the protagonist all in one person.
Well, I guess it's kind of also we get to the idea where when the sidekick graduates, instead of doing their own things because they can't necessarily just do their own thing because they lose the powers and no longer the hero. Instead, they have to become sidekicks to the ideology. Where, all right, I understand this big role and what Shazam started is still the main through point, but now Billy Batson is doing what he can to forward that ideology or that end goal of being a mystical protector.
Yeah, I don't know that I would agree that he's a sidekick because they don't coexist.
Yeah,
and so it's almost like saying Bruce Banner is a sidekick to Hulk.
True. Yeah.
And that's I don't think that's the case. I think that it is. Yeah, it's two different sort of mindsets or sort of I don't know the exact words or not, but it's
different psychics. Yeah.
And
Billy Billy would fit the stereotypical trope of a sidekick, young, inexperienced, you know? Unlike Bruce Banner, who's a full-grown adult and knows what he was doing when he got into, you know, turning in gamma radiation.
I mean, it's also what kind of might make Shazam stick out more doors if he does fit the stereotypes of a psychic, but does not necessarily fit the narrative role. Or like if you're talking about like being psychic ideology, that you can also describe that as being the paladin archetype, where they are wholly subservient to this ideology, and so Shazam would serve that as being the paladin or psychic ideology, but not being a traditional sidekick, in that he does not. He's the one forwarding the plot points, not another hero.
Right. Yeah. So Stephen Brown adds, he said sidekicks can add more to the story, but it can also be a character that would be used as much. There's actually a comic where sidekicks were going on strike to due to the lack of respect, because they got no respect as sidekicks.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
In all fairness, I mean, who could respect Jar Jar Binks? You know.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the reason why Hydra Bob also worked at Deadpool. He's like, I'm like a sidekick, but worse. It's like, of course I'm gonna work with Deadpool. He's fun. At least I get like burritos out of it.
What Deadpool has is Bob the Hydra agent.
Yeah. Bob switched sides because there was no respect. He was a sidekick, but worse to Hydra. So he's like, yeah, of course I'll handle the Deadpool.
I don't know if anybody's seen the Japanese anime My Hero Academia.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
And they have this whole thing where it's basically like Harry Potter superheroes, right? So they all go to the academy to become superheroes, and their job training is like, you know, apprenticeship and being sidekicks, and that's part of your job training to become a professional superhero, you know? And so it's just like how people are trying to apply to like the best college for the best program. Everybody's like, I want to be this guy's sidekick or this person's sidekick. So it's kind of a neat play on it, that whole situation.
I actually just discovered something cool that our Discord can do. So Roberta's sharing her screen, and I thought when I clicked the watch stream, it blew up real big, and everybody went on the side. You know, so I clicked on grid again, and now I'm actually seeing her artwork as if it's just one of us in the same size.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that because I didn't want it to because I wasn't watching it here. Just gonna watch it, you know, put it on the stream. But then when I clicked grid again, it went back down, and now I can see her artwork in the little window.
Oh, there it is. I did it too. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it is cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop the flow here. It's just I discovered something new, and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that. All right, so yeah, sorry about that. I did see I disrupted the flow of the conversation. Stephen Brown says after the strike, talking about the sidekicks again, instead of going back to their heroes, they formed their own team and became heroes in their own right. So, you know, so who are some of your favorite sidekicks? All right, let's so we'll do this. We'll go first. We'll run through favorites, and then we'll go through like ones that we absolutely can't stand. So I'll start. I was a huge fan of the Invaders, and so two of my favorites were always Bucky to Captain America and Toro to the Human Torch. I always liked Toro. Those were my favorites. But I think they were on the Invaders, and they had this little sidekick thing going. You know, they were sidekick pals.
Yeah, I think probably favorite would be sidekick would be Kato. I think Kato's probably the coolest sidekick, and my least favorite would be Jason Todd's Robin.
Yeah,
but Red Hood's pretty awesome. Red Hood's pretty awesome.
I said wait on the lease.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I jumped ahead.
Most of the comics I've read do not feature too many sidekicks. Or they've had team ups where they've had lead ones. So you've had moments where Deadpool's been the sidekick-ish to Cable throughout, and those are probably like some of my favorite moments was Age of Strife and stuff like that. But I think ones I've actually really liked what the sidekick characters have done and moved on would be Rick Jones
Yeah, dude. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, he's great. Also, I really liked what they did with Jack Flag and Free Spirit. I thought that was a really cool use of characters and transforming them to do their own thing later on, and then killing them in Secret Empire. Spoilers, but yeah, I thought that was really good use of having characters that were Rick Jones is more developed from the start, but Jack Flag and Free Spirit weren't that well developed. But over time, they gave them much more personality and made them their own until eventually shooting them off, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I love Rick Jones, man. I'd forgotten all about him. Did you read the him with the Kree Skull with Captain Marvel and the Kree Skull stuff?
Not yet, but that's on my list.
Yeah. That was really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, Rick Jones kind of sidekicked around.
Yeah, he sidekicked around, got his own powers, and was like, "No, wait, I want to be the man in the chair again."
yeah. Because he was with Cap, he was with Hulk, then he was with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So the original Captain Marvel.
Yes. Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Barb.
I have for my favorites. I'd have to say Rocket and Groot for Star-Lord. Abe Sapien to Hellboy.
Oh yeah.
And Bandit and Haji for Quest. Yeah. For ones that I absolutely cannot stand.
No, wait.
Okay, that's a different one. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Abe, Rocket and Groot, and Haji and Bandit. Those are my favorite.
Yeah. Those guys. I used to love Johnny Quest as a kid.
Oh, I love Johnny Quest.
That opening used to scare the crap out of me, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It had a kind of animation that was unlike anything else at the time.
Yeah.
The Hanna-Barbera was always super interesting. If you ever watched Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, it's after they bought the rights to Hanna-Barbera's old cartoons, Cartoon Network, to start poking holes at all the stuff in his cartoons, and one of them was Johnny Quest, and it's a very deep cut of an episode. I really love it.
And then Rocket and Groot, Baby Groot's my favorite, but of those two, I liked Rocket and Baby Groot, and they just made such a great team to back up the whole storyline.
Cool.
Okay.
Wubba, I can see your deep thought there. Who are your favorite sidekicks?
Honestly,
He's blinking on and off.
And you can't call Paul Stanley a sidekick.
Oddly enough, I like the shirt, but I don't like Kiss.
Really?
I love Kiss's visual, but
Okay.
I like four songs maybe.
Wow. I like their first 5 or 6 albums.
Well, yeah, I mean like Destroyer,
Yeah.
but that's maybe I'll give the disco album a try again.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Once they went to that, it was kind of like Van Halen. Van Halen, once they did Jump, it was never ever the same after that. It's like, and Kiss had the same kind of point. It's like, once they, what was that song? I Was Made for Loving You. Oh, once they did that one, it's just kind of like, yeah, okay, forget it. Yeah.
That's my daughter's favorite song.
I Was Made for Loving You?
Yeah.
No way! Tell her that's the worst of all the Kiss songs, and if she likes that, it only gets better.
She likes it because it's a lot like the K and J pop she listens to.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And she likes the Offspring. But yeah, so sidetracked. Favorite sidekick would be Dog the Lobo.
Oh, okay.
I would never really cared for the sidekicks, but I like Dog. I like Dog for Lobo because it was just funny. I don't remember if Martial Law had a sidekick or not, but I think he did. I just can't remember the name.
I'm not sure if Martial Law did. I only saw him solo.
Yeah.
I don't. That doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never really got into sidekicks. Like,
Mm.
in most of the comics that I read, they didn't really, aside from Rick Jones, because I mean, he was even prevalent, like even in the '90s during Keelan's Hulk. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shoot, who was that other guy that was with Hulk for a bit? Doc Samson.
Yeah.
He was with him a little bit. Yeah. Stephen Brown says, I don't really have a favorite. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that sidekicks are that popular today. I don't know that they're, I think someone, I don't know who, they've kind of.
Look,
I like Bucky when he became Nomad.
Yeah. And that was a nice transition, from sidekick to his own character.
Yeah, I think, and this is strictly my personal opinion, but I think Marvel could have tried a little bit harder when he had his own book. It felt like they were like just trying to make Bucky another Punisher.
Yeah.
But he was, being an irresponsible parent, carrying that baby around with him everywhere.
Yeah. Well, weren't they trying to do a little bit of the thing with that? Don't you think? That's kind of what I always thought.
Yeah. It was like they wanted to do Lone Wolf and Cub, but at the same time they wanted to do the Punisher, and they couldn't really pick which way they were going to go that whole book.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Bucky, I think they finally kind of knew what to do when they did the Man on the Wall, that run with him, where they're like your international space cop.
Yeah.
I guess I remember that one.
It's newer, so it might have been after you got off the train, but it's that's they do kind of a fun intergalactic 007 thing with him, and they actually give Bucky a lot of time to develop being cold and brooding, but with a purpose that isn't forwarding Hydra's agenda.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Looks like Haley is having connection issues here. I don't know if she can still
hear me.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Okay, I can hear my video. Yeah, I had to move rooms because my mom was Skyping my brother, which maybe is taking up too much internet.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm here.
Yeah, I'm on my screen. I've got little squares that are just kind of circling each other.
Too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even my webcam's not even turning on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think my favorite. I didn't, like I said, I don't think I had many in comics. I really liked Vincent from the Black Hole movie. You could argue he's not even a sidekick, maybe. But him and Bob were some of my favorites. And then I did like Clank and Ratchet and Clank.
Yes,
he was made specifically to be kind of like a sidekick helper character. Yeah. I guess I like the little robot sidekicks. I don't know why. I don't know. I just realized that all robots aren't they little robot sidekicks, I guess. So.
What was the name of that one for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Oh.
I loved him. He was just a moody, depressing thing.
Was it Herbie?
No, it was something the Paranoid Android.
Somebody Google it.
That's
yeah. I was thinking Herbie.
The other one I like was Buck Rogers' Tootie.
It's
I couldn't stand Twinkie. Oh my god!
I remember I really liked the. When I was a kid, I really liked the dog robot from Battlestar Galactica. I don't remember what it was called. Was it
Muffet?
Muffet, I think, or something. I don't even know if this sidekick it was just supposed to be more of a pet. I think, of a robotic pet. But I always thought that was a cool
He was
concept.
also annoying to me. I didn't like the robotic sidekicks. I thought Twinkie and Muffet were stupid.
He was Marvin the Paranoid Android.
Marvin the Paranoid Android. Yeah. I don't know why I could say Herbie. Marvin. Yeah.
Herbie,
Herbie's
I
a
think,
car.
was the robot in was it Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And I did know that Herbie was the car.
Yes.
I knew that, yeah. Tommy Forlani says, howdy, everyone.
Tommy.
Hey.
What's up, Tommy?
I did like the danger, Will Wub, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what about you? Before you get completely disconnected here.
Yeah. Yeah, so like as far as psychic characters, like I've been like on a cartoon binge. Like I watched all the Teen Titans
Is she
and
completely
the Young
disconnected? I can't hear
Justice.
her.
Oh, you
Wait,
can
wait,
hear
wait.
me?
Yeah.
We can hear her. Yeah.
I can hear her.
Stream can hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been watching like the cartoons where like the sidekick, or like I guess like the young teenage characters, because not all of them are technically sidekicks, but where they are like their own too. So like those are my favorite characters, like the younger ones. So I kind of haven't like watched and read, I guess, a lot of like them with their mentors, but more of like them being their own team, I guess. But if I have to pick a favorite, my favorite's probably Kid Flash.
Okay. You talking about like Young Justice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
great animated show.
watched that recently. Yeah, definitely the first season is definitely the best.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just add way too many characters, and I'm like, well, I liked the original.
And Curtis, you may not know this, but an old Malibu connection worked on a lot of the character designs for Young Justice. Jerome Moore.
Jerome Moore. Yeah, and also another one. My friend Tim DeVar directed some episodes of Young Justice.
I did not know that. What the heck?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it's, so many of the people in comic books went to animations.
Animation, yeah.
Tangential, yeah.
And just as
wow,
that was just as weird being someone who did not like Aquaman a whole lot outside of Darkest Night, and then Aqualad was super rad. And now they're doing Future State Aquaman, where Aqualad replaces Aquaman, and they're like, oh, it's Aquaman, but he's okay with stabbing people. I'm into it.
That brings up a good point. I'd be curious everybody's take on it. What do you guys think about when the sidekick usurps the main character? I don't say usurps, but takes over the mantle for the lead character. Is that good, bad, or depends?
I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, that's the whole point. It's the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
The apprenticeship. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay, so yeah, especially if it's done really well, where as the reader, you get to know the sidekick and their struggles and their growth for so long. And then you get this crowning moment for them, and you also get some of that catharsis, if we want to go back to the Greeks, for yourself as the reader.
Yeah.
I think they screwed over Dick Grayson because he finally got to be Batman, and they took it away from him.
Yeah. And I think that that's really one of the answers that I think they kind of, a lot of the corporate comics fail because they don't really want to give up Bruce Wayne because there's so much money in that, right? But I think that's really kind of what the answer is, because we look and say, well, how can they have all the, how can Bruce Wayne's been around since 1938, right? And well, he's still Batman, whatever. But I think that would be the answer: is you take one of his sidekicks and you graduate them. You let Bruce Wayne retire and go the way of what. And then you let the next person assume the mantle of Batman, and that's how you get growth and you get different characters. But they don't do that.
The way they did it was perfect because Dick Grayson got to finally be Batman, and Bruce Wayne's son was the new Robin.
Yeah,
I mean
they kind of did that, even though he was an apprentice in what was that, Batman Beyond.
But Batman Beyond was a great version of it.
Yeah, but he wasn't a sidekick. He was somebody that just took over the mantle. I guess
he kind of became Alfred in a way,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And I never was a big fan of the whole Miles Morales idea, but then that Into the Spider-Verse movie I absolutely adored. It was so good. And I never thought I would have liked the Spider-Man that wasn't Peter Parker, but they nailed it on that. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah.
I always liked Miles Morales better than Spider-Man. I just liked his sort of street level look, which I thought fit Spider-Man more, just the character, because Spider-Man was more of a street level character. So they kind of made a version of Spider-Man where he's like wearing coats and sneakers and stuff. Like, well, that just kind of fits. It's sort of like, street level footwear, clothing mixed with the costume. I just thought totally worked. And I love Miles Morales' that black and red costume. I just thought was so striking.
Yeah, it's
as
very
far as
cool.
the design and stuff. Yeah.
I actually just bought the concept art book for that, and it's insanely cool. It's like a big hardcover coffee book and shows all the
Oh, I
development.
didn't know they did.
Oh, so good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I love the fact that's just one thing I'm glad that animation is starting to push a little bit and doing like different styles. Like, doesn't that look realistic? Like, you know, it's animation, it's drawing. We can make it look any way we want. And I thought that was the coolest thing about that movie, was just they made it look like not just like cartoony, but like it was like, you know, urban graffiti style. But then they also mix in like the classic sort of pop comic style with like the zipper film stuff. They would kind of just kind of an interesting style.
I just love Kingpin's body to head ratio.
Oh, totally. It's like
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was like the Bill Sienkiewicz inspired.
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Stephen Brown says, I think it kind of shows in more of their own hero show the experience that they've earned. Which, I think that's kind of what we're saying here, and I agree with that. Yeah.
And hello to Cassisi.
That's right. Cassisi just said, hello. What's up, Cassisi? We got a little. Yeah.
I think we lost Wubba. I think we lost Wubba.
I think we lost Wubba.
Yeah, his phone's dying.
Oh, okay. And I still got the dots. I guess the stream can see the dots too, can't they? Yeah, they can see the dots for Haley. So, but we can hear her.
Yeah.
So I think everyone has answered the favorite sidekick except for Roberta. Who are your favorite sidekicks or kicks, Roberta? You're muted. You're self-muted, I think.
Because I was mad at my Photoshop. I was like, it does this weird, funky thing where it doesn't recognize the tool I pick like every 3 times I go over the toolbar. Oh my goodness. So I don't know. I have to say, do you remember the Jetsons? And
yeah.
I love Rosie.
Oh yeah, Rosie.
Yes.
She was a sidekick in the truth.
The robot maid.
The robot maid. She was so awesome. She said the worst things to them, and it went over their heads.
Yeah.
She was a wise robot.
Yes.
She was.
She was snarky.
Yeah. All right, so we're at the halfway point, and I forgot to mention at the top of the hour, Daytona Beach Comic Con. Why didn't one of you remind me of that? So our sponsors. So I got to keep back on my list and start saying, okay, you're going to do this. So our sponsors, we want to shout out to Daytona Beach Comic Con, who is one of our sponsors. Daytona Beach in September. There's going to be a Silverline showing there. There will be a handful of us there. And you need to make your plans go to Daytona Beach Comic Con. It is one of the area's best comic cons around. There's a lot of conventions around. There's a lot of pop culture conventions around. You can go see them. There's even the big box convention that'll be here. And if you love media stars, then that's your convention. But if you love comic books, if that's your thing, you should make your plans to go to Daytona Beach Comic Con. And we've got another one temporarily. We, in conjunction with Steam Patriots, History Camp is one of our sponsors now. History Camp is a project of the nonprofit The Pursuit of History. They offer weekly interviews with history authors, which can be viewed every Thursday on their website, historycamp.org. And on July 10th, they will be hosting History Camp America, an online full-day history conference for history lovers from across the country. You can sign up for their emails to learn more about the weekly interviews, as well as History Camp America at historycamp.org. And so we want to shout out, thank you to History Camp for sponsoring us, and we are anxious to get Steam Patriots into your hands so that you can see what that's all about. So that's going to be soon. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. And so thank you to the sponsors, and also a shout out to Kablam, who does a job printing all of our stuff. So there you go. So now your least favorite, and Barb was just chomping at the bit to say who she hated. So Barb, hated is my word, not yours. So
well, I already said I didn't like Twiki.
Yeah.
From I didn't like Castiel from the Supernatural series.
Interesting.
I mean, he lost his whole purpose was through season 5, and then
he just hung around.
I don't know why. Yeah, and then they just let him hang around and do stupid shit after that. Oops. And of course, my number one all-time hated sidekick was Jar Jar Binks.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like the most annoying character that was ever created. Do I have a naysay on that? Does anybody say, "Oh no, you're totally wrong"?
No, amen.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find anyone die on that.
Yeah.
Misa thinks you're just a mean. I know. I just ignored him. I don't know. I people like out of all the Star Wars, I actually did like the Phantom Menace. Like, how could you like that movie? I'm like, Darth Maul. Yeah, Jar Jar Binks. Like, I don't care. I had Darth Maul. That guy was cool. So I choose I pick part movies. I ignore stuff that irritating.
I ignored most of the prequels except for the Darth Maul fight, the Grievous fight, and the Mustafar fight. That's
yeah.
I just kind of. And I like the pod racing scene. I thought that was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
No, this is pod racing.
Here's the thing. I think not liking those movies doesn't mean there aren't elements about them that can still be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because because I agree with you. I think the pod racing is very cool.
Yeah. They created one of the best in 64 games ever.
Yeah. But it didn't make it a good movie.
Yeah.
Have you? So we're speaking of Jar Jar Binks, who I'm not dying on that hill. But have y'all seen the video the guy put together? What if Jar Jar Binks was actually
yes.
Sith Lord? It's great. It is really. You watch it and you're going, what? No, what? No, what? Maybe? Whoa, what? Really? Oh, and you're like, what if that was true?
Now I'm gonna have to go look it up.
Oh, it's
Jar Jar was a pimp.
Yeah.
He was pimping that woman. Like, he was all like, because the whole time Anakin was trying to get on with Padme. That's Jar Jar was pimping that, man. You know what's going on behind the scenes. He's like, Padme, don't mess with that guy. Come over here. And I'm not even going to say what he has, but let's just say Jar Jar has some skills in that area, right?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
But there's a video going around.
Could you ever rewrite that character to be something cool? Like, just take Jar Jar Binks. Could you take somebody so hated and rewrite him and make people like him?
Well, he'd have to stop talking like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we could rewrite that character. That would be a challenge for anybody. Take a hated character and rewrite it and make it cool. I will say a video game character. Tim will know this one. Raiden in Metal Gear was hated, and then they rewrote him, and now he's everyone's favorite.
MGS4 and then Rising to Vengeance are like, actually, you know what? We're super into it. Also, why does the president have an 18 pack?
Yeah.
Why is this ninja having a sword fight with a senator on top of the White House?
Who has the arms of Dr. Octopus?
Yes.
You go with Metal Gear. But he did. I mean, after the second one, we hate Raiden, and then they came back. I'm like, okay, he's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But kind of. Right.
I got to on the tangent of Metal Gear Solid, and I'll recover from it quickly. But
Yes.
I'm really on the show with Tim. I just kind of had a feeling that all the Captain America Winter Soldier stuff, at least design-wise, the costumes, doesn't it have a little bit of a Metal Gear Solid vibe to it?
Yes, absolutely.
Or is it just me?
I mean, especially after, because especially since that movie had come out after MGS4. And so they had already seen sort of like the cool like tech monocle and stuff that became the mask. The suit definitely felt like Snake's high neck Kevlar vest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it felt a lot like it. Yeah. And then I felt like Kojima had borrowed again from that because he had said that he borrows all of his ideas from film and from Marvel Comics when he did the robotic arm design for MGS5.
Okay,
He
good.
goes
So it's not just me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Also,
Kojima wears his influences on his sleeve. He said that.
yes,
many a time.
yeah. I mean, the Snake Plissken. For those of
I mean,
you,
he calls himself Pliskin in the second game. I mean, how much more obvious could you get?
For those of you just watching and have not seen Curtis, Aaron, and myself on a show together, at some point it becomes Metal Gear Solid Cast.
Yeah.
We need sponsorship by Konami. That's what we need.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we need. So, and I keep hearing they want to make a Metal Gear movie.
It's in the works. Oscar Isaac signed on. They have had a director sign on. It's the guy who did Con Island, and Oscar Isaac has signed the contract to be Solid Snake.
If they just remake the original Metal Gear Solid game, just that game as a movie,
I believe the idea is it's either going to be like Metal Gear 1, the arcade game, or Twin Snakes.
I can see Twin Snakes too.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get back to comics.
Yes.
If we could talk about this all night.
Well, I could also talk about one of my most hated sidekicks from the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Is going to be Huey, because he's Otacon but worse, and then also he stabs you in the back.
Yes.
You make a character who's a copy of another character, but give him less redeeming fat qualities, and then also make him an antagonist halfway through. What's the point of having him being a sidekick?
I agree. I can see that.
Yeah.
If you guys are ever interested in reading, there are some Metal Gear comics out there.
Yes.
By James Wood, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
The artist.
Yeah.
So you can read them. Metal Gear is highly involved. I mean, there's a timeline thing I download just to keep track of it. They're fantastic games.
Yeah, I recommend people. So there's two main runs. I recommend people doing if they have any interest at all in the weirdest spy story you'll ever encompass is the IDW compilation novel, which is Metal Gears 1 and 2 converted into a comic book with a bridging story. Yeah. But then also you have the weird like one-off that came off between like Acid and Peace Walker. It's the
card games.
Yeah, no, that's one where you need to do Acid to get it. It's that is like the most big brain weird spy alternate history you can get, and I love it, but it is not for average consumption.
No, and he mixes spies with superheroes. I think is the best way to say it. Superhero stuff, and
I honestly think that Kojima is one of the reasons I'm super into comics is just his storytelling.
Yeah.
Stephen Brown says Jar Jar, I think, is a character that doesn't contribute in Star Wars. He's just there. If they did more with him than just be accident prone, then people might like him more. And then he says, I'm not defending the character.
Strangely enough, they kind of do a little bit. They have some episodes of him in the Clone Wars cartoon that are not
the worst. Okay. Yeah.
That kind of work. And don't ask me why.
Well, it'd be half annoying if they changed his voice.
Well, they toned down the Misas, and they actually had where they actually had this weird arc where Jar Jar becomes a skilled politician.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Because you thought you would erase the character, and then he comes up. They have Jar Jar episodes in the Clone Wars, so I think George Lucas is like, no. I think sometimes George was always like, the more you hate him, the more I'm bringing him back.
Yeah.
It's that spiteness in him. So everyone say you love Jar Jar, and you'll never see him again.
Yep.
Tommy says, why is Tim cheating on a swimmer? Tommy, we explained that at the top of the hour. Tim is filling in for Brett, so Tim is doing us a favor. You leave him alone.
I make the machine go.
That's right. So Haley, before you completely disappear, what about you? What's your least favorite sidekicks?
I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, I'll probably think of something like later. but all I can think of since we were talking about video games, if you guys know Legend of Zelda, I know everyone like kind of hates Navi the fairy. So I never really thought she was that annoying. I think I thought that Fee from Skyward Sword was more annoying. She's always like, your Wii remote battery's running low, because that happens all the time. Which I guess is a fair thing to warn you about. But yeah, but then I did actually, on the video game subject, I did think of another sidekick that I really like, who is Maya Fey from the Phoenix Wright games. If any of you are familiar with those.
Little
She's
bit,
like
yeah.
his sidekick, and she's great. She's like comic relief, kinda, but yeah, always gets into trouble and needs to be saved, but helps out a lot too. So yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I'll probably think of something later.
Yeah. After we're not live.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this person's so annoying. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to tell you one of my least favorite sidekicks, and I don't know how many of y'all will remember it, but Marvin and Wendy. Y'all remember Marvin and Wendy from the Super Friends?
Oh yes. Okay.
The Super Friends. Yes, the Wonder Twins. Oh my gosh, I could not stand them.
Yeah, if you said it would have said just the Wonder Twins from Super Friends. That would I couldn't remember Marvin and Wendy, but
yes. Oh my gosh.
Write my Christmas list for you guys. Now Wonder Twins. I got to write that down. I
mean, shape of, form of, stupid of.
Didn't one turn into an animal and one turn into water? Wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Animal and water. I always wanted to see the episode where one turned in the water and the other animal just drank him.
Drank it.
I mean, why not?
I can't remember if it was Robot Chicken or something, but they did a parody of it where they combined and something went wrong, so it turned into like a Jeff Goldblum fly situation where just some screaming abomination.
So Stephen Brown said, I'm going to try to propose my comic to catalog this time. Good luck with that. Don't know much about what they are accepting these days. Cassisi said Snarf from Thundercats.
Snarf!
Oh yeah, Snarf.
Horrible.
When you get deep into the lore, you realize that Snarf is a Snarf from the planet Snarf.
Yes. I thought the kids were more annoying than Snarf. Snarf,
Snarf. The only thing I'm sure I'm about to get slaughtered here. I never really watched the Thundercats. I know it was. I know the theme song. I can, but there was a Reliant K to the Thunder. That's anytime I say someone says Thundercats, that's what I think. I'm lying. Oh,
yeah.
I'd say
it was my son's favorite. I mean, he's 36 now, but it was his absolute favorite. So I saw it 400
You had to watch
times.
it, yeah.
Right, and for his 4th birthday, I had to bake him a Thundercats birthday cake.
Yeah.
I knew it backwards.
That explains why you saw it, though. But I think I missed it. I was a little past it in age,
Thundercats also got remade, like She-Ra, so they got made into one that is still a cartoon, but more digestible for adults. Featuring voice acting from Matt Mercer. So it's I like the remake a lot better.
Yeah.
I never got into the Thundercats. It was I couldn't get over Lionel's hair. It's the hair. There was something about the hair.
In the 1970s, right? Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
I've been on a motorcycle.
It looked like Flamehead.
Yeah. But I did like the fact that Panther had nunchucks. I remember that was cool. I like Silverhawks. Even though Silverhawks, now that when you get older and look at that cartoon and then understand any remote stuff about astronomy, it's like, why would they need wings in space? And so but I mean, it was still a cool
Why does
cartoon.
the Silver Surfer need a surfboard in space?
That's a good question.
Well, they definitely in the remake.
Because it
they
channels the
certainly-
cosmic energy that fuels.
in the remake, they certainly upped Tiger's ooh la la factor.
Oh yeah. Where's that Tiger kind of guy? He always seemed like the punching bag. They never knew really kind of what to do with him. He was just supposed to be the smart one, I guess. And Panther was in the back, but everything was so focused on Lionel, and he was whiny. I'm sorry, he was just whiny. I couldn't. I liked all the other Thundercats. Lionel, something about him.
Well, for me, it was the exposed midriff. I mean, anytime a man wears Speedos with an exposed midriff, it's not my bag. I can't do it. So.
But He-Man and Masters of the Galaxy, where only the protagonist and the villain had any skin showing, and everyone else was just like wearing like multiple layers.
Men's with midriffs.
Yeah. It's like everyone else, women don't care. Just you're fully layered. You're wearing multiple stuff. It's battle appropriate. Lead characters, loincloths only.
All right, so Cassisi said he was a child body in his defense, or a man-cat body.
Yeah, he was. I know. He was supposed to be that.
Well, about the on the midriff kind of thing, as a martial artist, there's just like this. There's two camps. There's martial artists that wear uniforms, and there's guys that just are obsessed with showing their six-pack and having their shirts off.
Yes.
So, just everybody, I'm putting it publicly out there. I'm starting a Facebook group for martial artists called "I Do Martial Arts with My Shirt On."
Yes.
You're welcome to. No shirts, no service. That's all.
Well, doing kickboxing though, the part of the uniform is the very exposed like short shorts.
Yeah.
So 1970s basketball shorts.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you're kickboxing, you have to wear very short shorts because you have to do a lot of like snap kicks or high knees, and so.
Let's just call them what they are: hot pants.
They're
okay?
hot pants, yeah. I have some very fine ones that have some melting ice cream on the thigh, so. It's part of the design, yeah.
Steven Brown says I wasn't around that show the Thundercat one season, so
yeah.
But if you want to know something really weird, in the very first episode of Thundercats, and I remember this, they were all naked.
What?
Swear to God, yes.
What?
Later on, when they landed on the planet, they put clothes on. Yeah, go look it up. They didn't show any genitals, obviously, but yes, they were.
Okay.
And so when they got out of the ship and cried in the ship, they were naked, and then they put on clothes. And I'm like, and then I always made the question: so was the natural state? Did they not wear clothes when they were on their home planet, and then they wore clothes when they're visiting another planet? Like, why would they get? But yeah, it's
like as a diplomat, you got like adjust to customs. So I also, as a being covered in fur, I'm sure clothes are not the most comfortable.
Yeah, it was such a weird because the way they drew them with like their skin color, and then they had the kind of, like the Pink Panther, right? He's all pink, then he has that light sort of pink patch on his stomach. They did the same thing with the Thundercats. They were all one color, and then they had like a little light patch, and so they kind of looked at, and then later on they wore clothes, and I'm like, okay, so that was kind of weird. Not much clothes, which because they all wear literally like. I think mostly nothing. I think actually, strange enough, isn't the lady like the most dressed one on that show, Chitara? I think all the other ones are wearing Speedos and midriffs.
Well, yeah, she didn't have.
Which
She
I know
didn't have an
Curtis really
exposed,
likes.
Yeah, she didn't have an exposed midriff, so
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, she was the most dressed. There you go.
It was Chitara that's a female. I was thinking it was Tigra.
Yeah.
Tigra.
Yeah, no, the one that could run really fast with the staff. So. The intro is classic. The cartoon was. I know I couldn't get into it. I like Silverhawks and stuff.
All right. So what about other least favorite, despised sidekicks?
I'm trying to think.
I share Curtis's opinion also that Jason Todd, one of my favorite characters to have donned the Robin Hood, but my least favorite Robin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm looking around because I really don't know what my least favorite. I kind of ignore. I'm trying to think. I think it would have to be more like the Snarf type of characters or whatever. I know there was some characters. I mean, Jar Jar Binks classic. I mean, we love him. So, strangely enough, wasn't it weird that when you watch The Phantom Menace, all the other characters, like the soldiers in Jar Jar's army, actually, I thought kind of looked kind of cool, and but he was the only exception.
Yeah, no,
because they had like the feathers and stuff, and they look kind of cool. And I'm like, well, why didn't you do that?
Well, and the boss Nazca was played by Brian Blessed of Voltan fame. So
What?
Really?
Yeah, the head Gungan was Prince Voltan. So there you go.
I did not know that.
I love Brian Blessed. He's
I
a
do too.
national treasure.
Yeah. Yeah, you know he's British, right?
Yes.
Oh.
We're the colonies.
National treasure. I'm like, wait, hold on.
we're claiming him as our own. That's what I'm saying.
If they ever want to get rid of him, I can
interview Curtis. we claiming it. Yeah. Shoot, what's the Blackadder?
Huh.
He's I love him in Blackadder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have.
He did a whole series of YouTube shorts where he pretended he was Henry VIII.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great.
Everything was Creative Assembly got Brian Blessed to go through and use a bunch of ancient Roman weapons. And so you had Brian Blessed firing a scorpion, which was a rolling mounted crossbow. And he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
What was this? Where was this?
It's on YouTube. It's like Brian Blessed Roman weapons. It should come up.
Oh, I gotta go see that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He's so
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
Did any of you guys ever think C-3PO was annoying?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any more I dislike Star Wars on this channel. Yeah. But yeah, I liked R2-D2. I don't know. There was something about C-3PO. I think it's because he came off being a little. Did C-3PO ever seem like a little cocky to you a little bit?
He's a little he's a little arrogant, and he's also kind of annoying. But I think they got the point where he was the opposite of the Jar Jar effect, where someone is annoying, and does not assist the plot or the character's emotional growth. They're just there. But C-3PO had moments where he helped advance the plot, so actually achieved his role of being a sidekick.
I guess I don't like whiny sidekicks. And he was whiny. R2-D2 and C-3PO were both sidekicks to Luke.
Yeah.
But C-3PO came off as whiny and cowardly. And I know that he was an important aspect to the story, but and he grew on me after a while, but still he was always a little bit
I like R2-D2. That he was one of my maybe he up there with I liked him as a sidekick. I like the Astro Droid design in general, but C-3PO. I never really I feel like there's something about him.
For me, I think a whiny character needs to have a counterbalance, and he already wasn't as overbearing as some others, but then having R2-D2 there, you kind of give it like an Albert Costello effect, where there was it helped it in the long run.
But he didn't seem like he was all that helpful. I mean, and useful. Whereas R2-D2, he had all these gadgets, and he advanced the plot with the whole "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my last hope." You're my
Is it just me, or did anybody think that R2-D2 was speaking and you could understand him, but all those bleeps is because he was cussing and they were just series? Is that just me?
They're bleeping him out.
So Katinti has a really good question. Are you ready for this one? Is Scooby-Doo a sidekick?
Scrappy-Doo's a sidekick, and he's my most hated.
I said, Scrappy-Doo's terrible.
I think everybody hated him.
See, here's the other thing, though.
You can occasionally push Roberta's buttons.
Scrappy-Doo was useless.
Okay, let me see.
But Scooby-Doo,
Christmas list, Scrappy-Doo. Got it.
But here's what we're saying: Scooby-Doo actually had moments of advancing the plot. So there were moments where he was the lead hero. Shaggy, I don't think ever really advanced the plot at any point. Shaggy was the sidekick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think part of the secret too is in the title.
Yeah.
It's Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
If your name is in the.
I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah. It's his show. The rest
he's
of
a
them.
protagonist. I mean,
The rest of them
a
are just
big
there to
fan
support
of
him.
Yep.
Slimer in the Ghostbusters cartoon. I liked him in the movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan when they kind of made him part of the cast. I don't know. He was okay. I liked it better. I mean, they didn't do much with him. He was kind of, in the background annoying.
They
but
turned him
he was
into a
fun. I mean,
juice that you could buy at Circle K.
Yeah. She did. But that was.
He doesn't like our answer. He says, "But was he really?" Was Scooby-Doo really the protagonist?
Well, he's the one that protected. He's the one that bumbled into stuff, and then the rest of them mostly just kind of picked up on what he was already doing. And
I think Shaggy was Scooby-Doo's sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was mostly just Fred and Velma and Daphne who would find the rest of the actual clues. They pieced together what Scooby-Doo had already kind of found, and they'd just be the final details. So they did the role of sidekicks, whereas Shaggy was the emotional sidekick who was there to feed Scooby.
Scooby Snack? Yeah. Cassisi says the show progressed because of his friend. So, which is kind of exactly what you just said. Yeah. Scooby's the protag. Cassisi says I really hated that show.
I wasn't a fan either. JCC, I wasn't a fan.
So I like the original Scooby-Doo, but not the one when once they. Okay, Roberta, don't listen to this for a second.
I'm listening.
But I didn't like it once they introduced Scrappy and all them. I'm like, no. Those.
I remember in Ninja Turtles, I was.
What's that, Roberta?
I said we can like or hate whatever.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's nice. Art is subjective.
Yep.
I never did like April O'Neil that much in the Ninja Turtles. Was she even a sidekick? She was just kind of.
No, I think Casey Jones was the sidekick.
Yeah.
He was. I liked Casey Jones.
April O'Neil was
especially in the original comics. Casey Jones was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of did
April O'Neil was used to forward the story because she provided,
Yeah, she found the context clues and actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
Casey Jones was the sidekick.
I think she was kind of their connection to the human world, from the sewers to the human world. I don't know. They never did much with April. I know in later iterations of Ninja Turtles, they turned her into a ninja, which I'm like, okay, you don't know what to do with her. So you just turn her into a ninja. Okay, I got it. So yeah.
So everybody knows the connection of Turtles to Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the mutagen.
Yeah. And of course, it's funny. I probably told you all, not live. But several years ago, I submitted a Turtles proposal, and it referenced the origin, and the editor said that was never the origin, and I'm like, what the heck? Yes, it was. I'm not going to say the editor's name, but I think maybe they had to, and so I've thought about this over the years. I'm like, okay, number one, tell me that was not the origin and never had, because apparently they changed it where the Turtles are now aliens or something like that. I don't know the whole story.
They adopted the Michael Bay thing.
Yeah, so I don't.
Retcon.
Yeah. And I wasn't aware. But the editor claimed that it was never part of the origin, and I'm like, how did you get to be editor and not know the connection between, Daredevil and the Turtles? But the only thing I could think of is that maybe legally he had to deny that was the case.
Yeah,
especially writing, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's the only thing I could think of. Is it?
Well, because even in the original scene where they actually had the origin in the original comic, there's a blind man tapping on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, they reference it literally like
that's probably like the same thing where they reference it because they want to and it's fun. I mean, in the Miller world, very clearly Magneto, Shocker, they all exist in this world, but they never existed in this world because legal reasons.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it was just a fun. It was supposed to be the idea that during the whole incident. And I just always got that the same mutagen that gave Daredevil his powers mutated the turtles. But it was just a fun Easter egg sort of thing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make me
not like
suddenly
the
think.
alien thing.
It didn't make me suddenly think the turtles were part of the Marvel universe.
No,
Well,
not at all.
No, I don't know if you guys know this, but Dragon Ball made an appearance in the Ultraverse comic books at Malibu. So there was this book called Black September that came out, and Black September was kind of like a reboot kind of the Ultraverse as it tied in with Marvel and the Infinity Gems. And one of the pencilers, Keith Conroy, and my other friend Tim DeVar had done this one double-page spread, and we all watched Dragon Ball. We used to have to watch it on bootleg because it wasn't in the U.S. yet. In fact, I used to get Dragon Ball in French. That was how I could get it, which was awesome, you know. And so in that huge panel, this double-page spread in the middle, where everybody's going to battle, there's all the Mortal Kombat characters and all the Dragon Ball characters colored correctly because they drew it and I knew how to color it. So if you go back in the Black September, we put Goku in the middle of the battle with everybody. Yeah, so it's canon. It's canon. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And you can get away with stuff like that. Stephen Butler just posted something recently. Somebody posted a cover from Silver Storm series, and he said that he put in Vision and Scarlet Witch in a crowd scene in one of those books. And I'm like, what? I don't remember that. I was like, I for it now, you know.
That's cool.
Roland's all like, so that's where that cease and desist letter came from.
Who did we lose?
The live stream. She stopped.
Stop sharing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I have one for you.
Okay.
Harley Quinn and Joker.
Sure.
So you don't like that one?
Yeah.
No. Is she a sidekick?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good question. Can villains be sidekicks?
She's her own character.
Wait a minute, wouldn't they be minions?
or henchmen, who I guess would be the equivalent.
Henchmen, yeah.
But
Same
it's
concept,
the same
I
relationship,
guess.
yeah. And if you develop it well, like what happened to Harley later on, where Harley just began having her own moments of growth and like, I'm in a terrible place right now. I should get out of this.
Yeah.
But I guess you could also say because they were in love.
But she's the inexperienced one, and she's learning how to be.
Yeah.
She's learning how to be nuts.
Yeah.
You're not crazy enough. I can teach.
Yes.
I got you covered.
Yeah.
Got you covered.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that yeah, absolutely, villains could serve the same kind of role. Yeah.
Yeah. And then once Harley left and Joker got Punchline, who was the one who became the paladin of the psychic ideology that fully bought in, where Harley was like, I was there because you were neat. And then things got real weird. And now
Are there other examples of villains with sidekicks?
Huh?
You
That's a good
consider
question.
Silver Surfer the sidekick of Galactus?
No, he was the herald of Galactus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrong terminology.
But then, yeah, I mean, for a while, but then I think he jumped ship quicker than Harley did.
Yeah.
Didn't Magneto have some sidekicks?
Magneto had the Brotherhood, which was technically an ensemble, but the closest ones would be Mystique or Sabretooth, because they stayed loyal even after the Brotherhood disbanded.
Yeah.
And they fit the archetype where they were there to support Magneto's vision. So he was the one progressing the negative plot points or the antagonist movements.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that helped him achieve those antagonist movements.
Because CC says Starscream. I don't recognize.
Starscream
I don't
for
recognize
Transformers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would. I could say yes, but since he was continuously trying to overthrow Megatron, would that count as a henchman or more of a thorn? I don't know. I'm gonna switch that and say his henchman or sidekick was Soundwave, not Starscream.
Yeah.
Soundwave is very loyal to
subservient.
Megatron. Yeah. And I think that would be Starscream was more the usurper.
Yeah.
So,
On a separate note, what do you guys think? Was Microchip a sidekick or was he the partner to Punisher? because he kind of had his own equal footing in terms of ability, just in a different avenue.
But he never got into the violence. He was always just the information, almost like Oracle is.
Yeah. Well, he could even be a man, the archetype of the man in the chair. But yeah. But I feel like in the TV show, he serves more of that role as being a sidekick, but in the comics, not as much.
Yeah.
I can see that. Okay. Makes sense.
Cassisi says, "Yeah, I was going to say Soundwave."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think Soundwave.
Boy, the villain sidekicks. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm trying to think of all the classic villains. You know.
Yeah, apart from Harley Quinn, which is like really obvious choice, it's hard to think of, other ones that are, oh, please teach me to be your evil ways,
Red Skull had Zemo for a moment before they split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Morgana,
Oh, if we want to go back to Arthurian, you got Morgana and Mordred,
yeah. Mordred, yeah.
Morgan Le Fay.
Didn't Merlin have an assistant? He's good, but didn't he have like a sidekick? Or it wasn't besides Arthur. Wasn't there somebody else that was like connected with him? Maybe like a friend. Percival. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good one with the villains.
Yeah.
I see. You could almost say like even in G.I. Joe. I mean, Cobra Commander had Destro. Would that be his little sidekick?
Yeah, but then Destro was like always undermining him and more confident.
Yeah,
in him. It's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, you were the junior.
Yeah. That's a hard one. I would say yes, there have been, but man,
I think it's also part of the. I think it's part of the idea. Also, when you write a villain, is villains have their own ideologies they believe in. They're their own heroes, but the reason that they're a villain is their ideology is inherently flawed. Right. So someone has to fully buy into it, but if they don't, then eventually they see that and you end up getting a Harley Quinn or a Silver Surfer situation where they find their first chance out and take it.
Yeah.
And usually they always, most of the time when storylines with villains if they have like a so-called sidekick or a minion, a lot of times the minions will overthrow.
Yeah.
Muttley is a sidekick.
Muttley, yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah. Was that Mumra? Didn't he have wasn't that the dog Muttley?
No, Muttley was what cartoon was that one?
Was that one where they were all racing?
Wacky races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was always going like that.
Cassisi said, I missed something. I think it's easy to find for villains in anime. He says there are tons of them in anime. Yeah. And he says Jarvis earlier. I don't know if that. No, you say Jarvis, then I think of the butler from the Avengers.
Yeah. Another man in the chair type situation, but I mean, I don't know if anyone else has seen Bleach, but
I know a little bit.
Yeah. The main antagonist for a while is Captain Aizen, and he had one very loyal psychic to him, which is Ulquiorra, who, even after his group started separating, he was the one who always made sure Aizen could achieve his antagonist movements.
There is one sidekick that I know of that was actually one of my. He was entertaining. Did you guys ever used to watch the Gummy Bears TV show?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
No.
Well, the main villain had a little goblin guy. I think his actual name was Toady.
So you watch?
Yeah, I watched Gummy Bears. Are you kidding? It's classic. I remember when I was in grade school, all my friends would break out and sing the entire theme song. That was middle school. We sang the whole theme song. Yeah, Gummy Bears was awesome. And but I think the main villain had a little goblin called Toady. That was like his little subservient guy. And I always remember
perfect
Toady.
Name.
But, I know, perfect name, right? A Toady. He's literally a Toady. Yeah.
Cassisi says, Gummy Bears, epic.
It is. Bears is awesome. But yeah, I do remember the Toady one. Man, that's a good one. I don't know. Yeah.
I guess we'll have to chew on that some. That's a good one. Well,
because when you say the word sidekick, you immediately think of heroes.
Robin,
right.
Yeah.
So
My favorite Robin was always The Dark Knight Returns. I think her name was Carrie. Carrie Robin.
Yeah.
She was my favorite one.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah.
She was actually really cool. I think what they did with her that made her good is they made her vulnerable, which is what made it make sense. You know, if you had a kid in that situation, they would be vulnerable. You know?
And the fact that she wasn't really trained. She was just kind of doing this on the fly. He didn't really start training her until the very end of The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
When he's in the cave, that's when you saw him sit up straight. He was telling her. Yeah, but before that, he didn't train her to the end, so she was kind of just making it up as she went along. But,
it was Carrie Kelly. That was the name.
Carrie Kelly. That
Kelly,
was it.
right? Carrie Kelly. Yeah. She was a really good Robin. I liked her.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. I don't think she's canon, or is she? Did she canon now? Have they made The Dark Knight Returns canon?
They were going to bring her back at one point in the main Batman continuity at some point, like current Batman continuity in some shape or form, but I don't know if they actually did it.
Yeah, I don't know if she was supposed to be canon. I mean, when they did the sequels to Dark Knight Return, he turned her into Catwoman or Catgirl. So she, but
Well, I still argue best Batman ever is Lego Batman.
Yeah.
Did they have Robin in the Lego Batman movies?
Yes!
Yeah.
Was he okay?
Yeah.
I saw the movie once, so I can remember.
Oh, Robin's funny. He's all about being part of Batman's family. No. I don't have any family. No. I'm solo.
My favorite Batman is Clark Kent in Speeding Bullets. That's still my favorite Elseworlds where Kal-El's jet crashes in Gotham and he gets adopted by Martha Wayne, and then when they get killed, he becomes Batman. It's one of the really cool Elseworlds. I love that.
I haven't seen that. Because Cece said he loved the love gummy bears.
See, told you I'm not the only one.
Isn't the Terminator is a good sidekick in Terminators 2 and beyond?
Yeah, because at that point it's the Connors advancing the plot, and Terminator's just there to kill stuff.
Yeah.
He's a Brock Sampson.
Yep.
So would Wong be a sidekick or a companion to Doctor Strange?
Depends on the storyline, but overall, I feel like for the most part, he actually does serve a sidekick role in that Doc Strange still has to advance the plot points, but Wong gets the components or beats up the people necessary for Doctor Strange to actually do that. But there are moments where it becomes very clearly a companion, where they're doing two things in tandem.
How about Samwise and Frodo?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a good sidekick.
Yeah, and Samwise also has the thing where if you're doing a hard sidekick relationship, one of the best things you can do with that is make the sidekick's strongest virtues the protagonist's weakest flaw. So when Frodo succumbs to temptation, he's the one who was wishy-washy, always wanted to leave the Shire. Sam was a steadfast rock, always wanted to stay. So when Frodo starts getting pulled by temptation, Sam's like, I'm not going to touch it because that's not me, but I can carry you.
Yeah.
Right.
How about the walking rug Chewbacca to Han Solo?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sidekick or companion?
I think of more of as a companion. I consider them more partners than sidekicks.
Yeah, they equally protag in relationship to, or equally, or support as Luke and Leia advance plot points.
I could see people arguing that point, but that's just how I see them.
Yeah, they're equal a companionship.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't really say anything to the plot.
Right, he doesn't say anything, but he does actions. He
actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very useful, isn't he?
Yes. Chewbacca's family in the Christmas special.
Oh my god.
Oh, that hurts so much. That
is horrible.
And on that note, the clock tells me it's 10:55, so it's time for us to wrap it up. Talking about sidekicks tonight. So thank you everyone who was here. Wubba had to bail, so his information will be below. So let's just go around, I guess, and tell everyone where they can find you. Oh, first let me shout out to our sponsors again. Shout out to Daytona Beach Comic Con, which is coming your way in September, and to History Camp. You can find them on historycamp.org, who is interested because of Steam Patriots. So thank you again to Tim for filling in for Brett at the producer spot tonight. We appreciate you, Tim, and everything you did to keep the show running and your contribution. So, Tim, tell everyone, we'll let you start. Tell everyone where they can find your clean-shaven face on the interwebs.
Yes, I'm on all the socials at TimTKWriter. I'm also on the Silverline Craft blog, and I'm on Twitch most Wednesday, Saturday, and Sundays at AgroBacon, where I stream Destiny and Magic the Gathering.
Very cool. Haley, are you still with us, or is it just your dots?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm Haley Martin. I'm Haley Martin Art on Instagram, and my comic is Heroic Shenanigans. It's at heroicshenanigans.com and also on Webtoons.
That's right. And we'll be seeing Bear soon. Barb, what about you? Where can folks find you on the internet?
You can find me under my name, Kaleberg, Kaalberg. I'm the only Barb Kaleberg. So you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, DeviantArt, and Instagram under that name.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Aaron, what about you? Where can folks find you?
You can find me on the Facebooks at Humphreys Illustration or Aaron Humphreys, Instagram at ALH3810, and Webtoons. I'm still finishing up issue 10 of Golly's, posting it, but working on issue 11 as we speak.
Cool. Stephen Brown asked a last-minute question. He said, Stephen, I'm going to ask you to return and ask us that question next week, and maybe think of something more specific.
I can give you, right in general, I can give you the best advice in 2 words, or 2 phrases. Read, ask people why they do things.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then Alex Fitzgerald said, Master Man! What's up, Alex? Tim may recall this. I usually tell my students I want them to call me Master Man because it's a superhero name, and it's just Professor Man, and so some of them actually do it. So, Curtis, where can folks find you online?
Sure, you can find me online through my martial arts school, Tiger Crane 805 on Instagram, on YouTube, Tiger Crane Kung Fu on Facebook. For my comic book, Shadow Ghost Comic on Instagram and also on Facebook. So check it out.
Nice. Roby, where can people find you and that sweet t-shirt you have?
You can find me on Instagram and the Facebook under Roby Conroy. And that's probably the best place.
Nice.
I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it, so...
and of course, your Discord name is Roby Kenobi, which is very cool. And I'm Roland. You can find me on the socials, Roland Man. I am Man Roland on Twitter. Probably the best place to find me though is hanging out on all the Silverline spots. So look us up. And until next time, don't forget to. Make mine. All right, good night, everybody.